So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. So we have huge audiences here, so let's enjoy the discussion. Before starting, let me ask you some few simple questions to the audiences. Right? So would you raise your hand who have visited Middle East country before? Oh, okay. Many people visited. 70% of the people already visited. So people who lived and worked in some of Middle East country, please raise your hand, please. Only one person. Okay, thank you very much. And lastly, do you have some friends or colleagues from the region, some of Middle East countries? Wow, okay. So you know many about the Middle East. So it's nice to know the landscape of audiences here about the Middle East. Okay, this is a part of my kokorozashi, Japanese term, aspirations or purpose of life. And why? Actually, many years ago, I lived and worked in Iran for 3 years. That's my first overseas assignment. And that experience changed my mind, my understanding, or even my life totally. Because what I found in Iran was totally different than from what I had thought before going there. Actually, this is a nice country and nice people and a lot of the shared values or even the shared dream, right? So I found that I was full of biases of Middle East, maybe thanks to media like CNN or BBC. I learned a lot about those medias, but what I found there is totally different. But today's title, From Crisis Collaborations, maybe I reflect the perspective of Japanese people, the knowledge about Middle East. But my challenge here is to challenge your perspectives, right? And of course, many of you already know about the Middle East, so you have a good understanding about Middle East. But I would like to focus on positive perspectives, positive aspects of the country, and how we can collaborate more with the region. That is the purpose of this panel. So let me jump in the first discussion. I would like to ask all panelists, when you heard about this panel theme, from crisis to collaborations, what was in your mind? And how about your kokorozashi is related to this topic? I want to ask this question. So let me ask Naomi. She's now in NEOM, the big project in Saudi Arabia. So we just start to share your understanding and kokorozashi, please.
Takahashi-san, thank you for introducing me to that remarkable audience. Let me talk about the crisis. I want to use the word conflict instead. So conflict referred as the one among nation states, and so therefore regarded as a phenomenon of power politics. Power means military might, economic power. So therefore, the one with the power prevails. But people often forget what nation states consist of. People who are doing so many other things than fighting the war. So, for instance, businesses, and I mean foreign direct investments and cross-border trade. Culture, anime, that's very popular in the world, and movies and music. Education, research, and innovation, which cannot be done in one nation. It has to be collaborated among so many nations. Universal values activities such as humanitarian aid, this is a typical cross-border thing. So these activities transcend the state borders and connect people. So let me talk about foreign direct investment. So when Japanese companies establish factories and business overseas, they just don't bring money or jobs, but they bring global standard, governance, technologies, or CSR activities such as community services, which connect people across the border of nations, and then not only the nations, but religions, ethnicities, and so on, which currently are dividing people. So these activities become so influential, and which finally could affect government decisions. Just like annoying next door neighbors, and with crying babies all the time. And once you have seen the cute babies with your own eyes, your anger would disappear. This is the human psychology. And the same can be applied for the aggregation of the human beings. This is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is FDI and trade promotion. If everybody realized that everybody is the same, as just Takahashi-san mentioned, regardless of their religion, ethnicity, and nationality, etc., and we will have much less conflicts.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I can ask more about your activities in NEOM. Maybe you know NEOM, right? It's a huge project in Saudi Arabia. So she was there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much,
Yes.
Naomi. Fatia-san, may I ask you the same questions? What came in your mind when you are here about this theme? And let me know your kokorozashi. Maybe I know some of your kokorozashi, but would you share your kokorozashi with the people here, please?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toro. Thank you for, again, inviting me to be part of this panel. Actually, when I first saw the title of the panel, my initial thoughts revolved around the potential for transformative relationships within these regions. The title actually suggests a pivot from challenges such as political instability, economic barriers, and cultural differences, which might not be that much of a crisis, but could be more of a challenges that maybe when it comes to the Far East, looking at the Middle East, towards a future characterized by cooperative efforts and mutual growth. When it comes to my vision or aspiration, I think I would emphasize the importance of creating sustainable partnership that's not only address immediate challenges, but also lay the groundwork for long-term economic, cultural, and educational exchanges by prioritizing dialogue and cooperation. Both the Middle East and the Far East can harness their unique strengths and resources, potentially leading to innovative solutions to global challenges. This collaborative spirit could encompass various sectors from trade, technology, education, and environmental sustainability, ultimately leading to more interconnected and resilient global community. So this is when it comes to my vision of this collaboration between Japan and the Far East and the Middle East.
Okay, thank you very much. She's engaged in Royal Academy of Management Oman. So she developed a new generation leaders from the region. So that is her mission. Okay, Hakima, would you share your thoughts about the theme and your vision, or kokorozashi, please?
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to this discussion, this panel discussion. I'm honored to be with you. I'm a graduate of GLOBIS University, and I'm really honored to attend or to participate in such a big event. So first, when I heard and when I received an email, and this is the title of the debate we will be having, then I thought, crisis? What crisis? There is no crisis between Japan and the Middle East. That's the first question that I had in my mind. So, and then I had, no, you weren't wrong at all, no. So I tried to analyze on the rising tide of the Middle East and the fight partnership. So in my opinion, there is no crisis between Japan and the Middle East. Rather, there is a very good relations, very good balance between the two countries. And I think that when we talk about, for me, crisis is always comes with new potentials. And I think that Japan has always been neutral to its, on its stance to the Middle East. We don't have any conflicts. We have very neutral stance. We respect the culture. We have some mutual understanding, a lot of, values that are similar. So I don't see the crisis between the two countries. But I think that this crisis can be transformed into potential strategic alliances. I think now Japan used to have, or is and like conventional relations with the Middle East, such as oil industry, gas, etc., etc. Now I think it's time to change it to more like strategic alliance, looking at the landscape of the Middle East. You can see some conflicts, right? But other areas such as the GCC countries, there are a lot of potentials. So I don't see it as a crisis, or I see potentials in that crisis. That's my opinion. Sorry, that's for the beginning. We can elaborate further, maybe.
Thank you very much. Very, very engaging.
Thank you so much.
Patience. Okay, Shuji-san, he's engaged in various Middle East countries, and would you share with your thoughts about the theme and your kokorozashi, please?
Well, thank you very much, Naomi-san and other panelists already said about the some kind of terminology between crisis and conflict or something like that. I just emphasize one key point, the term the Middle East. The Middle East is not, or is never one. It's not one place. Rather, it has large diversity in ethnicity, language, religions, and politics, culture, history, and economy as well. But at the same time, the Middle East is Middle East. I mean, the Middle East is interconnected. What happens in Palestine will affect the whole area of the Middle East. And event in Libya also has impact the Gulf region. Maybe these two narratives contradict each other, but you need to understand these two contradictions. And also, as for the term crisis, actually, I have been living in Gulf states for more than 30 years ago. At that time, actually, I was living in Kuwait. And in 1990, Iraqi army invaded Kuwait, and I became hostage. So that is one kind of crisis or conflict. At that time, the Japanese people, all the Japanese people living in Kuwait became hostage, exactly speaking, the guests of Iraq or friends of Iraq. The Japanese people are only Asian nations who became hostage of Iraq. At that time, South Korea or Singaporeans are very active in business or trade with the Middle Eastern countries, but only Japanese became hostage of Iraq. This is very important between the Japan and the relation between the Japan and the Middle Eastern countries. Yeah, that's all so far.
Okay, thank you very much. So now sharing the thoughts or kokorozashi for people. So let's get into the more specific or concrete discussions from now. Under these situations, very complicated for Japanese people to understand the region. But under these situations, maybe I ask Shinji-san, how we can, or how Middle East people can attract the investors from Japan or other worlds? And what would you suggest the Middle East leaders to attractive the investors or business persons from the outside of the region? What's your suggestion? What's your thought?
Actually, I have no suggestion at all. But from the Japanese investors, maybe this is very clear that currently Japan relies on the Middle East for approximately 95% of oil imports from the Middle East. And oil account for about 30% of Japan's primary energy. So, and also Japan has consistently ranked among the top trade partners for oil, not only oil export, but also for the trade for the Gulf countries. In this sense, the relationship between Japan and the Middle East is one of the mutual dependence. And the Middle East plays a crucial role in Japan's economy and society. However, most Japanese people do not fully understand its importance and potentials. In the current era of climate change and decarbonization, oil and other fossil fuels are facing increasing challenges. Japan pledged to achieve the net zero emissions by 2050 and is working to reduce its reliance on oil. This is why Japan's relationship with the Middle East is shrinking. However, even if Japan reaches net zero, it will still require oil beyond that date. There is no guarantee that Middle Eastern countries will be willing to sell oil to Japan with, as much as oil Japan needs. East Asian countries such as China and South Korea are similarly dependent on the Middle Eastern oil. But unlike Japan, they are actively strengthening its ties with the Middle East. To secure energy imports from the Middle East without losing purchase out to China or South Korea, Japan needs to keep good relations with Middle Eastern countries. So this is my advice to the Japanese investors, not to the Middle Eastern political leaders, but maybe the Middle Eastern leaders know about Japan much more than Japanese leaders know about the Middle East.
Okay, thank you very much. So having heard that, so maybe three Middle East promoters, Hakima, Fatia, Naomi. So let me inspire, let me motivate to invest more for the region. Or maybe Japan will be in trouble if we continue this relationship. So we just suggest, well, what's your, thoughts about this, please?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Uji-san, for your insights. So I will be talking from a point of view of a business, in a company, a Japanese corporate that's willing to go to the Middle East market. Actually, when making my desk research on the markets in the Middle East, especially the GCC countries, and I'm not talking about Iraq or because that's another scope, but we are talking about the GCC countries, GCC Gulf countries. So I think that if you look at Saudi Arabia, Oman, the UAE, they all developed visions. Like Saudi Arabia, they have Vision 2030. In Oman, they have 2040, Vision 2040, and other countries they have their own vision and their own future strategies. Like you talked about, Japan is looking to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, right? And the Middle Eastern countries are also, proceeding or implementing several strategies to decarbonize the society. It's something similar, and they are working on the LNG gas. They have others, trying to develop other revenue resources, such as in LNG gas, ammonia, and others. And they are making a lot of business deals with Japan in that field. So we can see, for example, I have attended recently the JCCP and Aramco symposium held in Japan, and they were talking about sustainability. They were not talking about the production, etc., etc. They were trying to find solutions how to the renewables, how to use the renewable energy, and they were focusing on ammonia and not only exporting oils the Middle East countries are thinking of going out of the oil industry. That's secure. So this is the Japanese term used. So, and I think that there is something, similar with Japan. By 2050, they are looking forward to achieve zero emissions. In the Middle East countries, there are several. For example, Saudi Arabia in 2060, they are willing to achieve 0% emission. Oman, when to 2050? 2050, similar. UAE, 2050 also. So there are something similar between the two regions. So there are some mutual targets between the two regions. So I think when thinking about the oil industry as main pillar of commerce or of trade between Japan and the Middle East, it's no more that. It's more about service industry. It's more about doing like aviation. You can see, for example, Emirates Airline flying to Japan. They have direct flights. You can see, for example, Etihad Airways. They have direct flights to Japan. You can see now Saudi Arabia is having like a similar airliner coming. I think it's called, I don't remember the name, something like Emirates. Riyadh Air. It will be having direct connections between Tokyo and Riyadh, Osaka and Riyadh, and maybe we're looking forward to see Oman Air also, having direct flights from Tokyo to Muscat, inshallah, hopefully. So this connectivity is very important, and I see other potentials than oil, other services than oil that Japan, uses to enhance its relations between Japan and the Middle East. Just allow me to add one thing, is that for Japan to continue to have good relations between, with the Middle East, I think it should not focus on oil industry. They have to shift to service industry, technological industry, like to provide the technology to the Middle East to to develop their economies. In my field of expertise, hospitality, I see it's a very great potential and very soft business model to enter the market, to have those friendly ties with the Middle East. That has nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with.
Let me ask just a quick question, right?
Go ahead.
You are in marketers of the Tokyo Resort, Hotel and Resort,
Yes.
and you are the head of the Middle East. So what is the kind of sales talk to attract Japanese business persons, Japanese investors? What would you do? Because there are some competition, right? So people thinking we should invest to Thailand or Indonesia or wherever. What's your strategy to this? Thank you very much. That's what we need to listen.
I don't know if I can reveal that.
It's a kind of the company's secret, but if you can share your strategy, please.
I'm not sure if I can reveal that secret or not, but I can say that the Middle East is a very attractive market. Very attractive market. If you look at it, if you look at the hotel industry, the 5 stars and top hotels are centered in the UAE. For example, luxury. If you say, for example, Dubai, it symbolizes luxury. Now you can see luxury hotels in Saudi Arabia. You can see, for example, Kempinski. You can see and you can see all these, luxury.
But those all still exist in Southeastern Asia too, right?
I totally understand, but there is a big difference. Just 1 second. There is a big difference.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry.
Okay, please
there is
continue.
a big difference. People, the wealthy people that are, in terms of spending, people that spend on luxury are from the Middle East.
I see.
Sojiki no hanashi.
Okay.
When it comes to numbers, when you come, for example, per capita, when you use numbers and you know how much those people spend on a luxurious hotel,
I see.
it's totally different.
So those people knows the
Yeah,
situation.
we see the Middle East at Fioso. So
Okay.
it's really, the capita is very high. And I think when you have, for example, a hotel in one of these countries, I think you will make a lot of profit.
I see.
Because people are looking for luxury.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you for your sharing. Okay, Naomi-san, you are in a unique position. You are a Japanese business person and in the middle of the huge project in Saudi Arabia, NEOM. So what do you think about the attract people? Or how do you struggle? You are involved in the FDI, so you are in the middle of such activities day to day. What's your insight from your activity? Would you share?
Okay. Yeah, the previous speakers already mentioned. I would pick up 3 main areas for the Japanese companies to get the opportunity into. The first one is a construction project. As you can see, there are massive the volume of construction projects, not only in Saudi, but UAE and Oman. So I'm going to talk about the individual countries later on, but the quite many Asian companies are involved in this construction project. The scale of it is far more than we can imagine. The NEOM is obviously the biggest construction project in the entire world, but we have so many other construction projects going on in Saudi and some other Middle East countries. So that is the first one. And second one, the previous speakers talked about sustainability already, and that is a really big thing in Middle East or GCC countries in general. And Saudi and Oman are targeting at 2050 to zero emission, and UAE 2040. And these countries are far ahead of, I would say, most of European countries, or Japan included. They are actually doing it. My impression in Japan is that they talk about things, but no implementation has been done. But for instance, UAE, I just attended their conference just recently, and they are saying that they just replace all these cars into electric vehicle, and the all industrial production has a really strict threshold of green gas emission. I mean, they are actually doing it. So their activities are kind of, I would say, I can admire, because most of countries are talking a lot about things but has done nothing. So yes, sustainability is the second big thing the Japanese companies have to look at. And the third one is the digital transformation. The UAE, Saudi, I believe Oman as well, are very ahead of digital transformation. And their e-governance, e-government are already active. So for instance, in Saudi, if we want to get that document, we can just apply for it online. While in Japan, I have to go to a Saudi embassy to get one document. The data transformation is also quite big theme. So I would say these three areas could be interest of Japanese companies as well.
Thank you very much, Naomi.
Having said that,
okay, so please proceed. Please continue.
Yeah. Having said that, we have predecessors. I mean, Chinese companies have been very active, and they are involved in every single construction project in Saudi and the GCC countries. And in addition to high-tech, mobility, automotive, the consumer goods industries, almost all industries. And Korea, last year, Korea and Saudi had signed on investment MOU. And now the most of electric vehicles are Korean, Hyundai, Genesis. And I can't see one car made by Japanese manufacturers. And Samsung involved in the construction as well. They're mainly focusing on the internet connection and the mobility. And India, now you can see, in UAE, the UAE India has an FTA signed, and since then their business, Indian business, is growing 30% year on year. So I mean, these countries, I mean, I can say this is all-out war. The government are involved. They are pushing their companies to get into the Middle East Middle East market. So as a Japanese here, I feel really frustrated. So the advice for Japanese companies, from my point of view, is that just forget about the initial risk. I know Japanese companies are very conservative, and they wouldn't invest money unless they prove that they can there's no risk whatsoever. But come on, I mean, you can't find that kind of country in the world. So I would ask the Japanese companies to look at things in a long-term view, 10 years perhaps instead of 3. And also, unfortunately, Japan used to be a technology giant, but now the China and Korea have been catching up, or even excel in some areas. So try to find the unique selling points, and then just strengthen it and enter the market. The last story I just want to mention, Saudi government invited Japanese companies to participate in a bidding for big project in Saudi. And then most of Japanese companies are so hesitant, and they declined, saying that, we cannot get that because, for instance, Chinese companies are, offering much cheaper cost. Come on. I mean, Japanese companies have to try. And then, you can imagine how frustrated I am, just watching these Chinese and Korean and the Indian companies are coming into the market, and then no Japanese companies are coming here. So, sorry, I'm a bit too
Naomi-san,
excited,
can I jump in a little bit?
Yeah.
Naomi-san, I'm also frustrated, and I have a similar impressions. So what's your strategy to convince the Japanese management to invest or take some risks? What's your suggestion? What's your tactics? What's your strategy?
The first response to it, my first response to it is that it's very difficult to change the mentality. I mean, most of leadership, it looks like they look at the safety first and then don't look at the opportunities. So what I'm saying, I would ask a Japanese company to do is to look at the opportunities, not a risk. So that's the only thing I can say.
Okay, thank you very much, Naomi-san. So, Fatia-san, thank you for waiting. I'm afraid you are disappointed with Japanese companies. I'm a little bit worried about you, but would you add some insights from your perspectives, the discussion about the investment or collaborations? Whatever you are in mind, please share with the people here, please.
I think if I'm going to talk, one of the concerns for a lot of investors, international investors, is going to the region and maybe not finding talents or leaders in the country who can understand and share maybe common values and beliefs. But I think a lot of the Middle East now, when it comes to talent development or leadership developments, are working. It's becoming very focal point for creating a more attractive investment environment. How are they doing this? This initiative not only enhance the region's workforce capabilities, but also significantly reduce risks for international investors, aligning with their expectation, particularly those from Japan and other countries from the Far East. How are they doing that? A lot of countries now, including Oman, are investing a lot in leadership programs and in skill enhancement programs, focusing a lot on preparing leaders. And the Royal Academy of Management is an example of that, where the Royal Academy of Management was established 2022, but before that there were a lot of initiatives, a lot of projects working on preparing leaders in the country, whether in the public or in the private sectors, at international best practices and international standards, so that they can always work with international partners. And I'm very proud. I think we started that. All our training programs we're collaborating with international partners, including GLOBIS, and a group of 50 potential leaders from Oman went to Japan 2 weeks ago, I think. And I think the impact of the experience has been tremendous in terms of widening their horizon and understanding the culture of Japan, how they can work with Japan. And also, I think the mutual understanding between the two countries also has been very much enhanced in terms of, we know Japan, we always know Japan as maybe Naomi said, it used to be the giant tech country. But the new generations now with the competition from Korea, from China, I think they need to know more about Japan, and we need more efforts from Japanese in the region, so that we even when it comes to tourism, when it comes to infrastructure, logistics, all of these things, and if not all of the GCC countries now are trying to diversify their economy, not only in oil and gas. So that's the traditional aspect of it. But now it's more than that. We can also create collaboration in terms of education as well, internship, as we said, leadership programs that we're doing also with Japan and other countries in the Far East. So that's what when it comes to education, and I agree with all the panelists. I think we need to look at this, to look at the Middle East as opportunities, and it's lucrative market, I could say. And we need just to be a little bit adventurous, especially that we are all, I think we share a lot of beliefs, a lot of values like respect and other values that we could just capitalize on and make the collaboration more impactful for both regions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fatir. So I have 7 minutes before asking the Q&A. So I will combine my question to Fatir and discussion 3. We are talking about the people. As Hori-san mentioned, that the AI era, but he focused on still human being, right? So Fatir-san, that's your expertise about developing the people, culture transformations, or educations. And let me ask you your strategy to develop the people in the country and how you can differentiate Oman. Yes, Shui-san said the Middle East is one, but meantime, Middle East is not one. So can you differentiate Oman, or how you can promote Oman to the people here? And meantime, what is the strategy to develop people? Can you share that, your perspective or insights on this?
How can I differentiate Oman? Okay, so I think yeah, I was really maybe one of the things when you Mr. Toro and Asta maybe from GLOBIS and GLOBIS came to Oman. I think it was the first time for you to know about Oman. I know maybe we're trying our best, but Oman is really very peaceful country working on many issues. No one knows about Oman, or maybe not no one, but I mean, I could say Oman is trying to be very unbiased to all the issues going around, and but it's a very peaceful country, a tourist country. We have beaches, we have mountains, deserts, a very modern country. I think I'm inviting all of you just to experience that instead of me talking about it. And you can always now with the internet and I think it's within a click of a button, you could find a lot of beautiful things about Oman. And we have our also embassy in Oman. I think anything that you want to know about Oman, they're very accessible. And I think Aisha Al-Kharousi is with you there in the room. She can talk better than me about Oman and promoting Oman. But what I can say, I think when it comes to investing in Oman and coming to Oman, I think Oman has gone through really a very great reform when it comes to educational reforms. They're modernizing the curricula in education, for example, to move away from remote memorization to focusing on skills like critical thinking, strategic thinking, entrepreneurial skills, for example, emphasizing STEM on STEM education, like, for example, technology, engineering, and mathematics, trying to prepare the workforce, not only, as I said, for Oman, but even international. When it comes to the Royal Academy of Management, we're also working on, as I said previously, preparing leaders at international level. And we're bringing partners from outside. And we're sending people outside just to know that cultural aspects of leadership. How to be more empathetic, how to understand others, how to understand other cultures as well, to understand and respect other culture as well when it comes to work. We're working a lot in development of soft skills, like, for example, emotional intelligence, adaptability, intercultural communication. These skills are all crucial for navigating diverse business environment and align with values found in many Far Eastern countries where harmony and interpersonal relationships are emphasized. We're also, as I said, we're emphasizing international collaboration. A lot of leadership initiatives are being developed in partnership with educational institution and organization from the Far East countries like Japan. These collaborations expose Middle Eastern leaders to best practices in governance, business leadership, and also fostering shared understanding of value and priorities with Japan and other countries. There are also youth leadership initiatives. We're trying to promote a sense of social responsibility and some values that are shared with many countries in the Far East, especially Japan, I think. Other things I could talk about, I think, even when it comes to education, and I'm not sure if we will have time to talk about that, but I was also, before joining Royal Academy for Management, I was at the Sultan Qaboos University, and we had a Japanese language course, also trying to encourage students to learn Japanese, to learn about the Japanese culture. And I think now a lot of students, many students are looking forward to also go to Japanese universities. And we hope also to see a lot of Japanese coming to Oman, whether to learn Arabic or also to learn about the culture in that sense as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Fatir. I was shocked when I first visited Oman. Totally different of my understanding to Middle East countries. Sorry to say different countries, but they are really flexible and very cooperative, and they have a sense of collaborations. So I do recommend, if you go to Middle East, study from Oman and practice how to work with the Middle East people. Then gradually you expand to the other countries. That's my recommendations. Okay, we have just 2 minutes. So Naomi, Hakima, Shuji, just one comment about the culture or people. Naomi already touched on many about the people, but some last comment about the people relationship with the Middle East. So each one of you, okay, from Naomi, Hakima, Shuji.
Yeah.
Okay, Hakima, please.
I understand that. No, I don't. I don't have much time. I just wanted to say one thing. Although Takahashi-san, you mentioned start with Oman, I have to contest against it. The Japanese are so popular in Saudi. I mean, partly, I'm sure that started with anime, and my colleagues here, they can understand a bit of Japanese, and they love Japan. And for instance, the other day I just tripped over, and then I was in the ambulance. And then the guy in the ambulance, said, oh my God, this is the first time I saw Japanese face to face. I mean, we are treated like a first class citizen. And every time I go through immigration and, like a from face Saudi saying, oh, arigato in Japanese. I mean, that's, this Saudi, I'm sure that the GCC country is the same. They love Japan.
Thank you very much.
So then that's what you have to do is the Japan have to learn what the Middle East is, what's happening in the Middle East. So that is the time for Japan to just make a step closer to the Middle East to understand what kind of culture it has and what kind of business opportunities they have.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe after Oman, maybe Saudi Arabia. Okay, Hakima.
Well, yeah, that's where comes the hospitality industry. That's where comes where in the hospitality industry we can have that exchange, cultural exchange between the Middle Eastern countries in terms of exchange of people, exchange of experience, exchange of culture. So I think we will make a very good, I mean, not only business, but we'll be having building a cultural bridge between Japan and the Middle East. So starting from Oman, I think we will be starting from Oman, hopefully. Yes, so because it's really very easy market to enter compared to Saudi and the EU market. I have only 1 minute, so I will give the.
No.
I can.
You don't have time anymore. So.
Okay, thank you so much.
Maybe we have to go to a Q&A session.
Yes,
Susan, just quick comment.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And actually, personally, I have been involved in producing animation with Saudi Arabia a few years ago. So in my experience, as Naomi-san said, that most of the Saudis are very big fan of Japanese animation, or even the cosplay. It's Japanese, but usually the Arabs, most of the Arabs can understand the meaning of the cosplay. So this is very important. But 30 years ago, when I was living in Saudi Arabia or Kuwait, the most of the products sold in the shopping malls are Japanese, and automobiles are Japanese. But right now, there is no Japanese appliances in the shopping malls in Dubai. So, and as for the cultural aspect, they mentioned about the Japanese priority of the cultural aspect, animation or e-games or something like that. But it is very difficult for Japan to maintain this competition, because the China or Korea has already occupied the big places in the Middle East in the section of the cultures or entertainment. So it is very important to Japan is very good at such kind of sectors. So we need some kind of the governmental support to promote such kind of industries. This is one of my answer to Naomi-san's frustration. The lack of the governmental support is one of the problems, in my understanding.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's open up a Q&A sessions from the audiences. So 1, 2, 3. So this gentleman, please.
Thank you. It's Tatsumasa from Kaishi University in Niigata. I'm quite surprised with this panel because 3/4 of speakers are female. That's great. There is never a session with 3/4 speaker from opposite sex. That's great. So my question is, what is the role of female leadership in closing Japan and the Middle East? Each of you, 1 minute or 10 seconds, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, second one. Yes, please.
Yes, Burgess Godrej visiting from Mumbai. It's understandable that this has dealt largely with the GCC countries, given the dynamism in their economies. But what about opportunities outside the GCC? And what can other Middle Eastern countries learn from the GCCs in improving their economies? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Is that a question or comment? Questions, okay.
I think the success in the Middle East can be attributed to a clear policy directive with clear targets. But my question is mostly around the NEOM project in Saudi Arabia, the sustainability around it. Yes, I have 30 seconds. How sustainable is that project, seeing that we have Dubai already?
Okay, good question. Okay, let's starting from female leadership. So Fatia, Naomi, and Hakima, just one minute from each. Any thoughts, any observations, any comments about female leadership in region, please? So Dr. Fatia, please.
I think female leadership is becoming now, females in Oman, I'm talking about Oman, I think we do have ambassadors, we have now ministers and deputy ministers. So we have female leaders all the way in all levels in the government or even CEOs level. So I think whatever responsibility that be on men, I think it's also on females as well. But I think we need to work harder to enhance that collaboration with international. From my side, I think as a VP program for program affairs at the Royal Academy of Management, we're trying our best to enhance that. And thanks to GLOBIS, I think we started that with that's our first collaboration with Japan, at least from my side.
Thank you very much. Actually, we received 50 selected business and government persons from Oman 2 weeks ago, and 24 out of 50 are female leaders. and 20. Actually, 25, 25, one is missing and replaced. So
Yeah, when 26,
I think
25,
so.
yeah.
Actually, the female leadership is more advanced in those countries. That's my observations. Okay, Naomi, very quick. 20 seconds.
Perhaps I cannot answer to that question because the Muslim countries I worked in, I saw a lot of the female leadership. So it's quite natural for all of us to have a female leadership. So I don't know what can make some difference because we have it already. So perhaps I'm not the one who can answer to that question.
Thank you very much. And Hakima?
Yes, I have already published an article about the role of Arab women in connecting Japan with the Middle East economically. And I think that, for example, looking at the Japanese landscape, because I'm Japanese national, so I'm talking about Japan's women leadership. So I'm a good friend of Koike Yuriko, and I see it as a role model. She's a great leader, and she's the one who we can consider her as an ambassador of the Japanese women that can link between the Far East and the Middle East. And I take from that, and I took from that, and now I think using my skills, difference. I've been working for Saudi, and I did the interpretation of the king, the crown prince, and I know exactly how it works. So we try as women leaders to link the two countries in terms of guiding in Japan, it's a really masculine society, as you understand. Any company like Tokyo Group, mainly dominated by men. So I really face a lot of challenges, just, convincing those. But I see that women power is a kind of soft power that can, help Japan understand the Middle East more easily, in terms of culture, customs, trying to link those two regions that are very far through, soft power. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So your question is how you can learn from GCC countries. Is that the questions? Okay. Okay. Anyone can answer to these questions. How India can learn from GCC countries? Other Middle East countries. Okay. Or India. Anyone? Fatia? Or maybe
Maybe you
Shuji?
need oil. Excavation.
How India can learn from Japan, from GCC, or what was the question?
Other Middle East countries can learn from GCC.
And where are the opportunities in Middle East outside of GCC?
I think other Middle Eastern countries, meaning Iraq and other countries, not the GCC. You mean North Africa, North Africa and other North Africa and other countries, Jordan and other countries.
Those countries.
Okay, so
I can
Naomi.
perhaps talk about Jordan. The Jordan is not a GCC country, but it's close to, kind of located between Israel and Saudi. And Jordan is following what GCC countries are doing. And Jordan has a vision. Somebody talked about the vision 2030, 2040, and also Jordan has the same thing. And they have created special economic zones as UAE, Saudi did, and they are investing a lot of construction projects in Aqaba, for instance. So obviously, the Jordan is a country who is following what GCC country is doing. So yeah, that unfortunately they are not as rich as other GCC countries. So they are getting some support from Germany, Japan, and European Union. But their strategy is almost exactly identical to what GCC countries are doing. So the answer to your question, Jordan is doing it. Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe Aisha, you want to talk. You're a diplomat from Oman, so maybe you should talk a little bit about how other countries learn from GCC. Sorry to ask you suddenly. She's a diplomat, so she should talk.
First of all, maybe I should issue a disclaimer that we didn't pay anyone on this panel to promote Oman, but it's very gratifying, the positive comments. I think the GCC has unique advantages, of course, but they have also been, as blessings, they have also been curses in a certain way, because it's delayed our diversification of our economy away from hydrocarbon industry. So I think, yes, the rest of the Middle East can learn from how the GCC is diversifying away from oil and gas. I think Dr. Fathiya did a fantastic job of saying how we're investing now in the future leaders, because the youth, our pyramid, the demographics is very different from the Far East. We have a very large young population, And I think that's accurate for most of the Middle Eastern countries, not only the GCC. So I think it's where you prioritize your investments and where places that are maybe closer to conflict zones can shift their alliances to allow for more neutrality in the geopolitical space so that it can allow room for geo-economic growth. But that's just a general comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your kind comments on Oman, and please do come and visit.
Thank you very much. Okay, last question about NEOM, how it goes sustainable. Maybe Naomi? It's not easy to talk about.
Yeah.
Maybe she's hard to say because she's part of the NEOM. So may I ask Shuji make some comments? So please be careful. There is people from NEOM. So could you talk a little bit about the situation of NEOM?
Yeah, I think that NEOM is one of the biggest projects in the world or in history. And we are very much, we expect that project will be successful. But of course, we received a lot of information on NEOM, positive information on NEOM from Saudi Arabia. But at the same time, we have received a lot of negative information on NEOM, especially from the Western media. So which side we should believe? That is the question. Unfortunately, the Middle Eastern countries has no freedom of expression or media. So this is very critical for the Japanese investors to decide which country we should invest. This is my question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Takahashi-san,
Okay.
yeah, I can just mention one thing.
Please.
As the audience pointed out, the sustainability is very important now. So what we are doing is we are investing a huge amount of money into technology. And as you know, we have, there's some lack of technologies with which we could have achieved the zero sustainability itself. But there are so many missing pieces. So NEOM is investing quite a lot of money to invent the new technologies to achieve the sustainability. NEOM has been committed. So that's the only thing I can say.
Thank you very much. So let's see what will happen, right? Then we will see how things go. It's very interesting for me as well. Thank you very much for your question. So I have to close. Almost time is up. So may I ask Dr. Fatia of Royal Academy of Management of Oman, would you wrap up this 1 hour discussion and give us a message as wrapping up? May I ask you such a role in the end, please?
Thank you, Mr. Toria. Thank you so much. I really thank you for this very insightful discussion panel. I hope that both countries, both regions become more open. And I think, as you said at the beginning, I think social media and big media companies, I think, also contributes a lot in the misconceptions and misunderstanding that is going around about different countries. And we don't even take the effort to look for ourselves sometimes. It's just what we get. So I would like to conclude this panel is, I think, to be open and to listen from the people and go visit whenever it is possible. Go and explore the opportunities, explore the countries themselves whenever you feel you're interested. And I think now the world is more open. I think there are more opportunities for collaboration between Japan and the Middle East. As I said, Middle East is not one entity, but there also might be similarities, some few differences as well we need to be aware of. I think we don't want to stereotype. We want to be away from stereotyping and generalizing. And we try to understand. And I think there are a lot of things that are common between Japan and people in the Middle East or Arab in general. For Oman, I think I'm Omani here, so I would love to invite everyone who is interested to come visit Oman. Go visit if you're in Japan. Go visit Tokyo, to the embassy. You'll get what you want to know, and more than that. And I think the country is working a lot towards encouraging investment. There are a lot of opportunities, a lot of what do we call it? The government encourage actually investors to come and invest in Oman. So thank you for all the panelists. Thank you for you, Mr. Toro-san, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Fatia. It's very inspiring. So I wanted to feel the passions or energies of all the panelists here. So maybe I hope you had some different nuance which you had from the medias. So this is a reality. So please visit the countries, please see the people, and feel yourself, the passions. So that will be the first or maybe next step from this panel discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, great panelists.